We are going to pass it over to Anca for her
Okay.
second AI segment, AI 201 Prompting Framework. So I'm looking forward to this one.
Okay, that sounds amazing. Okay, so Anca is moving on to AI 201. We had 101 earlier. If you missed it, don't worry, they're all recorded and we're going to share that with you. Now, 201, learning to prompt. So I, for one, always say please and thank you to my robot overlords, and I highly recommend that you do the same. Now, Anca's going to tell you how to talk to them to get what you want. Roll that beautiful bean footage, Arthur.
Hey friends, this is Anca Platon Trifan. Welcome to the second session, AI 201 Prompting Frameworks. And in this session, we're going to focus on, as the session title says, prompting frameworks. Those frameworks are important because they help you get the best possible output from whatever AI tools that you're planning to use. So whether you're a beginner or a more experienced AI user, understanding how to frame your request makes a huge difference in how effective AI is for you. If you know how to prompt well, you will get a well-crafted prompt lead, which will make for a more accurate and useful AI-generated content. You will learn to guide the AI tool to generate great ideas and solutions. And then it really saves time and effort because effective prompting reduces the need for multiple revisions and refinements, unless you really like to do that. And then confidence, you build confidence on using AI tools through structured prompting techniques. There is one prompting roadmap that I like to refer to when I teach prompting, and it's the CREATE prompting roadmap. And what that stands for is clarify, refine, expand, adjust, text, and execute. Clarify is defining clearly what you want AI to generate and give it a persona to work from. For example, you can say act as a experienced event planner and write a fun description for a gala dinner. Then you refine, you add more specifics or more context. You can clarify the tone, the audience, and the style. Then you can expand, which means you can enrich the prompt by adding additional specifications, key themes, required elements. You can adjust by making tweaks to see different versions of the original prompt that you asked it to output. And then test is basically try the prompt and see what comes out. If you're not happy, you go back and refine. And then execute. Once satisfied, you can use the result in your work. Now, before prompting, we must also provide some clear instructions to the LLM to ensure that it reflects our voice and our tone precisely, because establishing a consistent voice and tone is really essential for building trust and fostering connection and maintaining professionalism. I can tell you how many times I see a post on LinkedIn that is so different from that one person's previous post, which screams AI. Now, that to me is a turnoff. And yes, I know we all use different levels of AI, but at least you can help it and make it look professional. And when the language used in responses align with your intended voice and style, it really also ensures clarity and reliability, while also reinforcing your personal and brand identity. So how do we do this? We define our expectations in advance with clear and actionable guidelines. For example, you have the ability in a lot of the pro models that you're using, and I'll just show here really quick, like for example, in ChatGPT, you would go in your settings and then you want to personalize it. Now I have the pro account and that gives me that opportunity. I have memory on because I do want my GPT to remember our history and our chats across all the chats, not just the current chat. And then in here, then you're going to give it specific instructions. And what do you want to include there? First, you want to give a little bit of background on who you are, and then how do you want ChatGPT to respond. And for me, it's important that it will respond in a professional yet conversational tone. It's straightforward and concise in its responses, and it's expanding only when I request it. It's avoiding cliches. It's avoiding also overly formal language or robotic phrasing, and it's tailoring responses to match specific preferences, like aligning opinions with my pre-established viewpoints on certain things. And this upfront instructions really act as a framework which ensures that every prompt that follows after that results in a response that sound true to your voice and meet the desired communication goals that you have. All right, so let's touch on the prompting frameworks. And there's a few main ones out there that I'm going to touch on, and that is the chain of thought prompting that involves asking a series of connected questions to guide the AI to a deeper understanding. For instance, instead of asking for a full event plan, start with what are some themes for this tech conference, then follow up with what activities could support this theme. The step-by-step approach really helps refine the output. Then you have fill in the blank prompting. This is one of the simplest methods to guide the AI towards generating the exact response that you need. For example, the goal of our event is fill in the blank, and I need content that helps convey this message, and that helps you add specific context to get targeted answers. Perspective prompting is where you ask the AI to adopt a specific point of view. For instance, from the perspective of an attendee, describe the benefits of this event. This prompt will help AI to then tailor its responses according to a particular viewpoint, which is useful, especially if you are trying to see the event from somebody else's perspective, or as the saying, walk in somebody else's shoes, and that it really helps you understand different stakeholders' needs. Constructive criticism is a great prompting framework to use, especially if you're interested in not just assessing existing content, but for example, learning and growing. I would use this when, for example, writing a draft of an email and I want AI to provide me with some constructive feedback so I can improve on that draft. The framework is great for getting AI to help you iterate and refine content. And then another favorite of mine, I don't know if I included here, is I want you to act as, which is where you tell the AI to take on a specific role. For example, act as a social media expert and draft a tweet promoting our sustainability focused conference. And that really helps give structure to your prompt and yields more contextually relevant responses. Now, here's something that I wanted to touch on specifically. Depending on the type of language model that you're interacting with, it is important to understand that there's differences in ways to leverage the model's capabilities when it comes to prompting. And prompting methods can differ significantly depending on the type of language model that you're interacting with, and understanding those differences is really key to then leveraging the model's capabilities effectively. And let's make sure that we open this up. Okay. So what does that mean is that, for example, certain models operate better with certain prompting frameworks. And based on that, you would want to match the prompting framework to the model. For example, an older 3.5 or early GPT-4 models were doing really good and are doing really good with the fill in the blank prompting framework, as well as perspective prompting and ask before answer prompting. Then 4.0 models, they're really good at chain of thought prompting, constructive criticism prompting, as well as I want you to act as. But then some of the 4.0 models are best at maybe providing tabular format prompting and comparative prompting and reverse prompting, which are some frameworks that are way more advanced. And by the way, I cover a lot of this in my free ebook, ChatGPT prompting frameworks, but it's not just for ChatGPT, it's for any LLM out there. When ChatGPT came up with their reasoning models, which is Canvas and O1 model and 101 mini, the whole prompting structure was a little shaken, and everything that we've learned up to that moment, it kind of needed refinement and it needed changing. And that's another point that I'm trying to make here, where when you think that you've gotten so good at AI and you know all the rules and you know exactly what you need to do, think again, because there's going to be more updates and there's going to be new models and there's going to be new tools that might use a completely different architecture, and everything that you learned or thought that you knew a few months ago requires new understanding and new learning in the present. So you have to stay constantly up to date with AI, just so that you don't fall behind and your understanding of it becomes kind of archaic. And as I mentioned in my free ebook, which you can download and you'll have access to the slides, and those are all hyperlinks, you also get to look into examples, but also descriptions for each one of those prompting frameworks. And it goes deeper into short prompting and constructive and comparative and reverse. And I want you to act as, and all the prompting frameworks that I mentioned. And really quick, before the time is up, I wanted to just run a prompt really quick into ChatGPT and then another model. So let's see which ones we're gonna pick. We're going to pick Gemini, and I'm gonna run this prompt. And then we're also gonna go into Perplexity. Okay. And then see what we get. And I actually commonly, I would use multiple chatbots to get an output for the same prompt, and then compare which output is better and which one serves me best. So what we prompted here is that imagine we need content for a welcome email, and a basic prompt could be write a welcome email for our annual tech event, and then we can refine that with write a friendly welcome email for young tech professionals attending our annual tech event. And let's see, here's the thing with Perplexity. I really like it for research, but I really hate the bullet point everything. And I only use it when I need to get good research data. And then what did Gemini come up with? Very bullet pointed, but it gives you a few options here. And I think I would probably mix and match what those outputs are. And then if I wanted to use a different framework, probably I would be following up with something like, from the perspective of a first-time attendee, let's write this welcome email. And then ChatGPT, let's see what we get. One thing I wanted to mention here, Gemini actually has now the ability to create different gems, which is, it's almost like ChatGPT has with their different GPTs. And Gemini calls them gems. All right, so we got some outputs, and that's actually pretty good. It's not bad. And then I would just go back and forth and see which output I'm the most happy with before I started customizing it even more. All right, I think our time is up, and I want to make sure that I'm not losing track of time here. See, what else was I going to touch on? Gemini, we did talk a little bit about that. Overcoming prompting challenges. You can start simple. Obviously, you can experiment. And the good thing about getting good at prompting is that you will also get good at communicating. And you will see how even your communication skills enhance as you get better at this. I would say experiment. There's a lot of AI prompting clubs out there, and there's people that really are so strung up on having the perfect prompt, and some of those prompts are pages long. I don't think I'm that strong on prompting where I go into the crazy long prompt versus just having a conversation with AI, starting with a good structure, but then elaborating from there and going back to the roadmap that I shared, the create roadmap. And that really gives me everything that I need in order to get the output that I'm looking for. Okay, in our next session, we're gonna touch on content creation and marketing. So make sure that you join me on that one.
All right, that was so great, Anca. I am excited to get in and try some of those. I think there were some really good tips to give it a shot. I also loved how in our Slack channel, Anca had put in a prompt for us to try to use AI, to use ChatGPT or whatever we're using to create an image of what our office might look like based on the prompt. Really fun little things for us to get in and try. I love, love, love those types of games.